So today we're looking at acts and omissions within criminal law, and what we've been looking at is the fact that actus reus is really important because unlike the mens rea, we always need it. You can have many types, so you can have conduct crimes, circumstance crimes, and consequence crimes. And the general rule for actus reus is set out in Airedale, NHS Trust and Bland, which says that one cannot be liable for an omission, i.e. a failure to act, unless it fits in within the certain exceptions. And what are the exceptions of omissions where you can be liable? Well, we had a look at the 5 duty situations, so statutory duty, contractual duty, duties in public office, voluntary assumption of duty in special relationships. Then we also had a look at it's not really a duty situation where the defendant created the dangerous situation. So him failing to act to resolve that dangerous situation, he was still held liable. But then we have 2 further exceptions to where omissions can lead to criminal liability. These are status offences and continuing acts. So this is what we're going to look at in this video. What are status offences? They are basically offences of being rather than doing. So you don't do anything, you be something, and you therefore are criminally liable. So I have 2 cases to demonstrate this. The first case is Larsener, 1933. The defendant, a French woman, she was deported against her will from Ireland to England by the Irish authorities. Upon her arrival, she was charged with the offence of being an illegal alien. Even though it was against her will and she had nothing to do with it, she was still charged and her conviction was held because it's the idea of status offence. You are this thing which is criminal, therefore we cannot do anything. The case is often criticised because the law requires the actus reus to be voluntary generally, and by this we mean not an accident. When an accident is concerned, the courts deem not only a lack of mens rea but also a lack of actus reus. So you could say that here there's a slight problem, but regardless, it shows the fact that we do have status offences within our criminal justice system. And another case is Windsor and the Chief Constable of Kent, 1983. Essentially, the defendant was removed from hospital by police and was then later arrested and found guilty of being drunk on the highway. Even though the police officers put them there, he actually did nothing. He didn't, like, as a sense, okay, he failed to stop being drunk, but you know, that's another argument. But he was still found guilty because it's the idea that he was being drunk. It's just what he was. That's what made a criminal conviction arise. Then continuing acts. So they are a type of, so I forgot to say, with status offences, the reason why it counts as an omission, not an act, is because nothing is voluntarily done. It's your failing to stop being something. So now moving on to continuing acts, is the idea that the actus reus and the mens rea, they happen at different times. So if you've acted in a particular way and then later on you get the mens rea, this is still an omission because you fail to stop acting in a particular way. So it's similar to the creation of a dangerous situation. But what we'll do is we'll have a look at 2 cases, one of which we already discussed in the creation of a dangerous situation, just to demonstrate what I mean by continuing acts. So in Fagan, a Metropolitan Police Commissioner, 1969, the policeman, he was directing the defendant to park the car when the defendant drove over his foot. Now, the policeman, so that's the actus reus, this is assault. The policeman said, hey, move the car, da-da-da-da-da. But at that point, the defendant got the guilty mind, the mens rea, and he decided not to move it. So although the actus reus and the mens rea happened at a different time, a criminal conviction was still found on the basis that this was a continuing act and it could be said to coincide at the same time. And therefore, in those situations, failing to act in a particular way can be made criminally liable. Similarly, in Miller, May L.J. argues that the act was a continuing act. The whole of the accused's conduct from the moment he lay on the mattress with the lighted cigarette until the time he left it smouldering formed as one act. as he had the mens rea at one point during the actus reus when he woke up, he could be convicted. And the House of Lords didn't reject such reasoning, but they preferred the duty approach, and they still found him liable, which was basically what we're arguing for. So that's about it for acts and omissions. But what we'll do in my next video is we'll quickly go over like the various arguments that should these duties exist in the first place.